Look, I'm unstoppable. Forget your defense, nothing but an obstacle.
This an all-out blitz, real hard hits, them other podcast trash, we gon' make them all quit. We cover all the topics with intelligence and logic. I know you wanna score, but ID gon' stop it. We from Texas, so that mean that we Texans. Breaking down the X's and O's our profession. No complaining, just training, you see the progression. They had a Pro Bowl for talk shows, we get selected. We gon' celebrate every win like a birthday. Ray J with the news, first with all the updates. Spin move on the competition, yeah, we juking them. You not really in touch if you not tuning in. This is Crenshaw, Briggs, and VT. We want the touchdown, we not trying to go for 3. And it's best if you get up out the street, cause them bulls out the pen and they bout to stampede.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Texans Fan Buyer Podcast. I'm one of your hosts today, a part of the amazing trio of Matthew Briggs. And with me, I got my A1 since day one, Mr. Crenshaw. Say what's up to the folks.
How y'all doing tonight?
And then if you are on Twitter or Reddit, you see this guy angering people in the spaces. And on Reddit, we got Mr. Brown Chubby Bear himself, VT. Say what's up.
What's going on, guys?
And guys, when me and Crenshaw started this thing, and then BT joined us, we had a goal, and it was Mark Vandermeer and the guy we're having today. We have our special guest, Drew Dougherty from Texans TV. How you doing, Drew?
I'm great, guys. Before we get going, that intro kicks ass. Like that's a really cool intro. I love it. Like everything about it, great original stuff there. Top notch. Love it. I love it.
We're gonna have to tell your boy Crenshaw we're getting much love from it. So
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, before we kick off, kind of do some NFL news. The one that really stands out to me is Baker Mayfield. He asked for a release and then got cut and then got picked up to the Rams. Drew, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's weird. You know, So before I came to the Texans in 2009, from 2005 to 2009, I was out in Lubbock, Texas, and he was a Red Raider, as we all know, for a little bit, well after that time that I was there. But it's just odd seeing his journey because he was so tremendous in high school, and then he went from Lubbock to OU and did what he did there. And it seemed like 2 years ago he was on his way, and that might be the guy for the Browns. So it's just been such a tough fall for him, but hey, maybe something happens good out in Los Angeles, and he's able to kind of bottle up everything that all the potential that he had. But it's just been sad to see, really, more than anything. I like seeing local guys do well, and I mean, I say local Texas guys do well, and
right.
It's been a tough pro journey for him thus far.
Yeah, hopefully Rams is the place to help him. Reutilize that. Crenshaw, what about you, bro? What do you think about it? Were you hoping the Texans pick him up?
No, I didn't want Texas to pick him up. We haven't formed. I feel like organization failed, guys. And I think when he went to Cleveland, it was going to be a failure. Got traded to the Panthers, another failure. The Rams, they're not a top-notch organization, but the last 5-6 years, they're more respect. Got a Super Bowl. I'm going to do well there because you got to figure out this Matthew situation. The trade they won last year, but the trade's looking really, really bad right now. But I hope he does well. I'm going to be watching him tomorrow night play.
All right, BT, I'll cap it off with you. What do you think?
I actually have a belief that Stafford's elbow is worse off than they're really saying. I think they may have taken Baker because it's not like they can go through the draft anymore, right? Because fuck them picks. So basically, they have no choice but to pick up somebody else, and they picked up Baker. And they were asked, is there any chance that Baker could actually start this week? And they said it's a possibility. So if Stafford's elbow is really hurting him as much as I think it is, we could see Baker out there next year, if not even a game or two right now.
All right. Well, moving on, there are some big key injuries to quarterbacks. VT, I'll start with you. What QB injury is going to hurt the team the most?
Well, my friend Brian obviously believes it's going to be the 49ers. He's a watcher of this show. There he goes. He's saying it right now. So So he thinks it's going to be Mr. Irrelevant. That's going to hurt him. He actually didn't do too bad, right? Like, I mean, you saw him against the Dolphins. But I do think that he's going to struggle, right? He's not really an NFL guy yet. He's a rookie. I think they're going to struggle because the 49ers have a chance, right? They have a crazy roster. You have the weapons there. It's really going to be up to the quarterback at this point. So I think he could struggle quite a bit.
Okay. Drew, I'll kick it to you. Who do you think was the big injury loss to the team?
It's tough on that one. I think we've heard how much they love Purdy, and Shanahan tree coaches, and obviously Shanahan falls under his dad's tree, but Kubiak's under that tree. Those coaches seem to do a good job as far as making things work with a backup quarterback and kind of getting by. And I think they can get by. I think asking him to take him to the Super Bowl, that's asking a lot of Brock Purdy. That's not throwing dirt on his NFL career. I'm not burying him yet. I'm just saying as a rookie, I don't think that's going to happen. And I'm not going out on any big limbs doing that. So I think they could kind of scuffle by and do okay in the short term. And short term, I mean like the next 5, 6, 7 games, which include, the early part of the playoffs. So I don't know. It's kind of a tough one for me, but yeah, I guess I'd kind of go along those lines. Although if anybody is sort of equipped to get by, I'll go with the Niners.
Crenshaw, what about you?
Same thing what they said, the Niners. I would have said the Ravens, but I like Tyler Huntley, so I gotta say the Niners. Once again, they're wasting, elite defense, elite offense, and they can't get the quarterback situation right. Trey Lance got hurt. That sucks. They lucky they didn't trade Jimmy G, but hell, he didn't even much finish the season this year. So it's going to be definitely the 49ers. And I think this is their last year of, being this good because I think they're going to lose to Miko, and they might fall off.
Okay. I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to say the Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence. There's still a chance of them possibly making the playoffs, winning the division if they win out and beat the Titans twice. With Trevor Lawrence out, that's going to be a tall task to complete, especially with who's their backup, Bethard still.
Yeah.
So Lawrence wasn't that great, but he's a lot better than that guy. So, let's hope he comes back soon. Well, guys, let's kick it off to why we're here. Let's talk some Texans. Browns at the Texans. Drew, I'll start with you. What was your thoughts of the game? What was the bigs and what was the downs?
It's easy. The downs were, just giving away so many points.
Right.
It looked like you were going to kind of coast into half with a 5-0 lead, and then 3 minutes and change, the punt return for the score just absolutely swung any sort of momentum that you had. And the defense was out there fighting its ass off and did so well, but ultimately, you can only do so much. So just seeing the turnovers that led to points directly, or a play or two later when they took the ball over, that's what really kind of sunk me, because this has been a tough season. When you're in early mid-September, early mid-December, and you've only won one game, it's been a bad season, and it's just another link in the chain, I suppose, about what's been a tough year. That's what one-win teams in December find ways to do. They do stuff like that.
What were your thoughts on the defense?
I love what the defense was able to do. Petrie, that has been a bright spot. Jiggling him over to free safety, which that's not really what he played in college. And the Texans, I thought smartly, were like, well, let's put him where he was in college and play him around, move him up close to the line, let him do some stuff. And, he showed flashes, but once they kind of settled him back in or into the free safety spot, it looks like he's seeing everything better and reacting better. The run defense has been a little bit better, not just because of that move, but that's a bright spot, that move of Petrie to free safety. He had the pick. He had 16 tackles, had a couple picks that probably should have been picks a few weeks back at home. And they go through his hands, but he was in those positions to make them, and that's something that we were all excited. I don't want to speak for you three, but I bet you all were excited about Petrie when the Texans drafted him. when the Texans were going through OTAs and training camp and the early part of the preseason, we saw some promise there, some hope there. And I think it's really starting to kind of come to fruition. Now it's tough that it's coming to fruition in such a season and at such a late juncture in such a season. But that's one of the cool things I've seen from the defense. I liked what the defense was able to do.
And the good thing is Nick Chubb only got 80
yards. Yeah, I mean that's a victory. As a team, they ran the ball well collectively, but you limit that guy from killing you, which he did 2 years ago, and then last year again. I mean,
every time he played us.
yeah. So the defense did its job. They're on the field forever. If they're on the field like that forever, they're going to get beat up on the ground collectively. But still, that damage, that's not why they got beat. It wasn't because of the run game of Cleveland doing what it did.
Yeah. Well, before I move on, we got a comment. Third down efficiency can be 1 for 12 and expect to win a game. Yeah. VT, I'll send to you. What do you thought?
So on the defensive side, Petrie, I was so impressed by him intercepting Deshaun Watson that I ran out into the team store and bought his jersey on the way out when I watched the game. So props to Petrie. He's going to be on 610 tomorrow, and I'll be excited as a schoolgirl when I get to actually hear him because I'm a big Jalen Petrie fan. What I will also say is that it just seemed like we beat ourselves. We also had some incredible bad luck. That throw to Teagan, who I really wanted him to shine, and he came out last time when he came out. He had that touchdown on his first season game. So he's a big body tight end, and so he had a really good catch. But he called it. The ball hit the ground, popped out, and defender was right there and intercepted. I mean, that's just honestly just pure bad luck. You can't really put that on him on the way that he landed down. Then on the return that DPJ had, he was able to miss tackles and take it straight home. That really sunk a lot of the hope that people had in the stadium, because I'll tell you, everyone around me thought we had a chance. We all thought we had a chance around, and after that kind of sucked the life out of the room.
And that no, I don't mean to interrupt, but that was so uncharacteristic of the special teams this year. That they've actually been very, very consistently good this year. I mean, you could on kickoffs, you can pretty much guarantee that the other team's not going to get past the 25. So every time that happens, that's a victory. I mean,
same with the punt. The punt, I think they said the longest they got was 14 yards. I could be wrong, but
I mean, Cam has been putting most of them, or not most, but he's been putting a high volume of kicks inside the 20s, the best ever in franchise history. It happened in 19 with Brian Anger. He was at 53%. There was a time earlier, about a month ago, that Johnson was coming close to that mark too. Just on the whole, special teams has been pretty darn good this year, and that was just a real uncharacteristic slip up by them.
I have to agree. I'm sure Frank Ross yelled at his guys a little bit there, but what I'm going to say, I believe we were actually rated as a top 5 unit in special teams, right?
Yeah.
We were somewhere right around there. So it was actually surprising to see. Deshaun did not have a pass touchdown. He only had 130 yards on the ground, another 20 through 130 through the air, 20 on the ground. He didn't do well at all. And like I said, we could have won this one. I was thinking at halftime, maybe there's a possibility that they'll put Mills in there, because I really think that if Mills was in there, we could have potentially won that game. Kyle Allen just wasn't doing it for me. And, he wasn't really great at ball control either. He was throwing over Nico Collins. So we really beat ourselves. But I will say, other than that, the mood was actually quite good in the stadium. I'll tell you that. People were really jived and really wanting to get the Texans to beat Cleveland. And so for that, it was an enjoyable game to watch.
All right. Crenshaw, what about you?
I know this is not Moral Victory Wednesday, but I look at it, it was a moral victory. I mean, the defense only gave up 6 points. So, take the punt return, the pick six, and what else? And the fumble. And the fumble, that was another touchdown. I mean, they played a great game. They kept Allen clean. We just not good at the quarterback position to beat. I'm not saying Cleveland's a good team or great team. They're an okay team. And coaching, could be better as well. But overall, I feel like we played probably our best game, even though we took the loss. But I think that was our best game of the season. I mean, we moved the ball. We got a couple of first downs. Yeah, there's a lot of overthrows. But overall, I think it was a good game. And like you said, VT, the vibe in the stadium was real, real good, even though there was a lot of Browns fans in the house. But it was a good vibe. But, on to Dallas.
Yep.
Yeah. I said this the other night on the AFC South Fan Battle podcast. If you want to recap, if you have not seen one Texans game and you want to see what the Texans season is like, this was the game to watch. Like, one half of the ball was done great, and the other half of the ball has stopped us. And that's been like the story of the whole season. It's either the defense that stops us or the offense that stops us from winning games. Because, I mean, yes, we're not these great going to the playoff team, but we're better than one win team right now. We should have at least 2 or 3, maybe 4. But it seems like every game is either one side or the other that's letting us down. And sadly, it was the offense this time. Kicking off back to the Dallas, like Crenshaw said, the Texans and Cowboys game. News broke out today that Mills will be the starting quarterback. Drew, what's your thoughts on that?
No surprise. Based off of what we saw out of Kyle Allen the last 2 weeks, it's kind of – I would have been stunned if Mills had been reinserted into the game last weekend. But, you saw what he did on the field. And then Monday, Lovie Smith, when he was meeting with the media, first question, second question was, is Davis Mills going to be the starter again? And normally, Lovie is very declarative, very definitive. No, we're going with this, da-da-da-da-da. Well, his answer kind of meandered. And when that happened, my little, antenna went up. I thought, well, there's probably going to be a change. And sure enough, today he announced that change. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what sitting and watching two games can do. I'm up on the deck on game days at home with Chester Pitts. And I can't remember when it was. It was in that stretch, that foggy period where the Texans were winning 9 games pretty much every year, and they were taking 3-4 different quarterbacks to do so. But one of the times that one of those players came in, like Mallet or whoever came in to sub in, he said, hey, a lot of times the backup just comes in and does the opposite mistake-wise of what he's been seeing the starter do. He just knows, don't do that, and I'm going to be okay at least with the coaches, and I can play a little bit longer. So we'll see if Davis was able to kind of absorb any of that, because that wasn't the case for Kyle Allen. He had the struggles in Miami, and it continued last weekend. But maybe Davis can get things going. We saw during that stretch when he came back from the benching in 21, 9 touchdowns, 2 picks. But ultimately, that was good. But ultimately, you got to get W's to accompany that. And it wasn't just the quarterback spot last year. It was a collective thing, and Lovie Smith has said the same. Last year, the coaches said the very same. But, yeah, hopefully he can play some better football, and the Texans can do some nice things here down the wire, because it's always fun when you beat the Cowboys. It's an extra special W when you beat these guys. I've only been here for one of them. That was in 18. I was actually living in Dallas, working in TV in 02 when they won the other one. But, 10 and 14, those were not fun Cowboys games, because Dallas got the better end of the stick on those two.
So what's your thoughts on this game? Do you think we have a chance, or is it going to be a complete beatdown?
It's the NFL. You always have a chance. You're going in as a heavy underdog. Vegas is not dumb. We've seen what this team has done through 12 contests so far. But anything can happen. It's you get a punt return for a score like the Browns did, and you're able to come up with a pick or a sack and or strip fumble. Dak Prescott has turned the ball over before in his life. You're able to do some things offensively and move the ball. You do have a hell of a running back. Dameon Pierce is a phenomenal player. He has been the brightest of many few bright spots on this team this year. You get him going. I still don't think we've really seen a bust-out, full-on Dameon Pierce game, and he's had some 100-yard games. He had that run in Jacksonville, best play of the year, where he got him close down to the goal line, but he still hasn't totally gone off the way I think he is really capable of. And, you get that going, and anything can happen. But, yes, the odds very long against you as far as coming out of this thing victoriously.
Do you think the Cowboys are going to score? What was it? 23 points in 11 minutes, like it did against the Colts on Sunday?
I sure hope not, but goodness gracious, every time I see the Colts play, I pound something, like a fist on a desk near me and say, how the hell did we tie those guys? Ooh, it gets me so mad. But no, I don't think you'll see a 20.
Oh, you cut out. What was that?
I said, no, I don't think you'll see a 23-point outburst by the Cowboys like that.
They probably will be in the first half and, just cream us. But, BT, what about you? What do you think?
The Cowboys have a high-powered offense. We don't. That's really what it comes down to. And what I am going to be looking for in this game is what are our rookies or sophomores doing. How's Petrie looking? How's Pierce looking? That's what I'm looking for to this game. I'm not expecting a win, but I'm really just looking at individual players and seeing their progression. As I was very excited to see Petrie get an interception, I'm gonna hope and see if he can get another one. I really want the dude to excel because I think that he could really be the best draft pick of the 22 draft that Nick has made. I know that's kind of a little bit of a hot take, and we're not there at that segment, but we've had this going on for a bit. Remember when we did the whole thing of who do you think would be the defensive rookie of the year on the Texans? And I said Jalen Petrie back then. And what I see in him is that even though we don't have a pass rush, even though our front seven isn't strong, he's still able to make plays. He's literally everywhere. Every time you see him, he's there. Anytime there's a play, he's taken down running backs when our front seven cannot. So that's what I'm going to continue to look for in the Cowboys game.
All right. Crenshaw, I know you have the guy who actually made this song for us is Cowboys fan. So, Chris, what do you think? I know you got a lot of friends.
Yeah,
chime in on you.
Yeah, it's not going to be pretty, man. I'm predicting a loss, but I'm more curious to see is the offensive line going to block the way they did for Kyle Allen for Davis Mills. I want to see, is he going to be better? Is he going to have a 300-yard game? Can he get a couple of tuds up in there and everything? And, no pits, keep it clean. But the Cowboys' defense is so good. The offense is so good. It's not going to be pretty. I'm going to make the trip up there, but it's going to be a long trip coming back. So.
No. Listen, you just got to stop in Centerville at Woody's Smokehouse, get some beef jerky, get some Diet Dr. Pepper. You'll be all right. You'll be good.
Okay, now when you go to Woody's, you go to the one on the right or the one on the left?
Well, if I'm coming back to Houston, the one on the right.
On the right, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like Woody's.
No, they got that exotic jerky, or at least they did the last time. It was like deer stuff and antelope, and yeah. Get you some Woody's, man. You'll be all right.
Oh yeah. I like Woody. What's that? Exit 142.
You got me there.
Yeah. It's 142.
You say so. I'll believe you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I like Woody's and your Buc-ee's right down there in Madisonville.
You can never lose. Yeah, you can never lose that one. I made that drive a time or two.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, before we let you go, Drew, we ask you a couple questions if you don't mind.
Of course.
I'll start it off. Do you think there will be a change in the coaching staff at the end of the season, either offensive wise or as a whole? Because to me, I don't see why, against the Browns, why not Pierce touch the ball at all in the red zone? I don't understand that. The guy was having a monster day, and you just don't give it to him. I just think the offensive coach has been bad on the play call. So what do you think, Drew?
If I got into the prediction business on that, I'd be and had bets and stuff, I'd be a poor man. I have no idea where things are going as far as that goes. At the tippy top, I'm not sure. All the way down to the bottom though, from head coach all the way down to quality control guys. There's going to be turnover no matter what, whether you've won, whether you've lost, whether you've been somewhere in the middle. So yeah, there will be a few changes at least, but I have no idea what amount of change there will be. So, and you got to remember, it's not always on the coaching staff too. I mean, there are times. Think about it. 2 weeks ago, I think it was the Commanders game, or maybe it was the Giants game. First play of the game, I thought this was a good play that was drawn up. Davis Mills rolls out. He's got a tight end wide open, probably going to get about 15, 20 yards. Ball goes at the tight end's feet. I mean, you can't blame Pep Hamilton for that one. So now, on the other side of things, yes, there have been some questionable play calls, but it's a collective thing. It's a collective effort on a lot of this stuff. So blame deserves to be laid at the feet of the players, at the feet of the coaches, and so on and so forth. So that's my long answer and my long way of saying I don't know. And I'm
before we move on, we got a comment from a Colts fan that says, "Bring back OB." No, we're good on that one. BT, I know you had a question to ask. Go ahead. Let's you see it.
So this might be a little bit of a weird question, but judging from everything that Cal has been doing and what we have learned from when we had Aaron Wilson on, it seems like he's very much more involved than he used to be in the past in terms of the product on the field, getting involved with the head coach search, grilling burgers for the fans, signing jerseys, hats, and so forth, the jersey exchange program, the time that he came on Reddit and had the Ask Me Anything and actually answer questions, of which I was a participant. So do you think that there's a chance that Cal actually says to the NFL or HBO, hey, you know what? I think it's about time we do another Hard Knocks. Let the fans actually see what's going on, because to get the fans back involved in the Texans again, even when we may be in a losing season for 1 or 2 more years, perhaps that's a way to invigorate the fan base. We've seen what it's done with the Lions. Like, the Lions fans kind of gave up, and then the Hard Knocks episodes and stuff kind of invigorated them, going back to the stadium and talking about it. Do you think that's a possibility?
First, I think that's a phenomenal question. I love that question. Second, yes, I do think that's a possibility. I know his father, Bob McNair, loved when Hard Knocks was here. I loved when Hard Knocks was here. I learned a lot that, I'm inside the building, and I know these guys pretty well. Not as well as the coaching staff, not as well as the other, but I know them pretty well. But I learned a hell of a lot just watching that show, because that show really pulls back the curtain on a lot of things. And there's a lot of stuff that they don't even put up there, that they don't show, that you kind of hear about through back channels, like, oh, well, this was pulled out and this, da-da-da. So yes, I do think that's a possibility. I haven't heard any active seeking out of that, but I absolutely think that's a possibility. And I think his father, in retrospect, probably wished. I think Bob Muir probably wished he would have asked for that sooner, but he wanted to. He wanted to go by what his GM and what his head coach wanted, and no GM and no head coach pretty much wants to have that intrusiveness, because it is intrusive. But goodness gracious, I think it's wonderful seeing that experience, and nobody can say you're cursed when that happens, because hey, the Texans wound up going to the playoffs the year that they were here. Now, they weren't the '85 Bears, but you got to the playoffs, and the Jets have been to a conference title game, and I'm leaving other teams out that have been winners. You've seen some big time losers too. That's the beauty of that show. It's covered the gamut and covered all ranges of winning and losing teams. But I would love to have Hard Knocks back. If I had my druthers, they'd be there every single year. I think it's great to learn that about and everything that those guys touch at NFL Films turns to gold. I mean, they're the absolute gold standard in entertainment and sports documenting. I think it's phenomenal. It's a great question. I say bring them back. I think I just might go march into the office tomorrow and say, hey, this guy, Brown Chubby Bear, had a great idea. But they're probably thinking about that, I would imagine, already. But, yeah, I like that idea.
I think you're right, because, with the whole Deshaun thing and, everybody's talking about culture, I think that's the perfect way to say, hey, look, our culture has changed, and here's why. But, yeah, good question, Regan. Guy left field. I didn't even think about that. Crenshaw, what about you, brother?
All right, Drew, I got 2 questions for you. All right, one, who was your favorite athlete at SMU, any sport, and do you still do any switchblade fighting on your off time?
All right, you've done some deep dives. I like that. I've retired the steel, so no. Part to the second question there. So are you talking about SMU? Like while I was there, who was my favorite athlete, or just
just period? While you was there, or right now, anytime?
While I was there, I was good buddies with a golfer named Nick Biesiker, who he kind of got sideways with the golf coach at SMU at the time, who was a guy named Hank Haney, and he coached Tiger Woods for a little bit, but he got left off. I think the regionals team, they were trying to go to the national. I don't know how the golf NCAA championships work, but he was left out of a very big golf tournament. So he was like, all right. And he went and he qualified for the Byron Nelson, basically the Dallas PGA event. And he went and he played in a Dallas PGA event, which I thought was pretty cool. So I knew him and he did that. And he's one of my favorite. That's a very weird, very deep, kind of obscure answer to your question. But all time, Doak Walker. I mean, he won the Heisman. He was kind of the first post-World War II sports hero. The Cotton Bowl was a much smaller stadium, and that's where SMU played its games. But because of Doak Walker being so successful, this is before the Dallas Cowboys, well before the Dallas Cowboys, about 12 years. He got so many people into that stadium that they had to build the second deck onto it. So some folks call it the house that Doak built, kind of like, Yankee Stadium was the house that Ruth built. So he seemed like a real good dude all around. He was an old man when I was in college in the late 90s, and he died in 1998 when I was a junior, and he died. Yeah. And Ricky Williams was down at Texas, and it was the year for Ricky Williams, 98. Texas is kind of like at 2-2, I think, or either a game above 500 or a game below or at 500. They come to the Cotton Bowl to play OU, and Ricky Williams, he wore Doak's number just for that game. He got some special permission from the NCAA, so he wore 37 for that game and just went hog wild on the Sooners. Texas beat them. They wound up winning 9 games. He wound up breaking the record later in the year. So, yeah, it meant a lot, at the time, seeing that about Doak Walker. But I guess those are my two answers, Nick Biesiker and Doak Walker.
Okay.
All right. Well, I got one more question for you, and we'll let you go there, Drew. Do you think there is a chance of either an overseer for Nick Caserio or him possibly getting let go at the end of the season?
No. Nick's the GM. He's the guy. He's running the show, and you're going to see, as time passes, you're going to see some good stuff come from all the moves he's made. And yeah, I can't wait to see what happens with more cap space next year, all these picks next year, all the picks the year after. So yeah, he's the guy. He's the guy, and trust me, he's very capable, razor sharp, and he's got us going in the right direction. Doesn't seem like it right now because of what's been going on, but trust me, Texans are headed in the right direction under Nick Caserio. Yeah,
we're all big Nick Caserio fans, but that's the craze on Twitter. So I figured I had to get your input. You know how Texans fans can be on Twitter.
Sure. They're any fan, it's a big broad spectrum all the time.
Well, guys, any more questions for Drew before we let him go?
If hypothetically that they relieve Lovey of his duties, who would you like to be the coach?
Ooh,
Lovey's the coach, man. I like Lovey. I'm rolling with Lovey right now.
All right.
It is.
That's my coach.
Well, Drew, tell us, everybody, where we can find you on social media and all the projects you're working on.
Yes, at Dougherty Drew is my Twitter handle. At Dougherty_Drew is my Instagram. It's in my Twitter bio, my Instagram. So go there. And then we shot Texans Extra Points, which airs every Saturday night at 10:35 on ABC 13 KTRK. I say 10:35. It's basically after the football game and then the late news, and then we come on. But I shot a really good show today with Brandon Scott from Sports Radio 610, and then Cecil Shorts, who played receiver for the Texans, played in the NFL for about a decade, and now he's on the field doing a lot of the in-game presentation stuff. Those guys are awesome. We had a good time today. Had some fun back and forth about a lot of different things. So please watch that. on Saturday night, or I'll pop out the YouTube link probably Saturday afternoon before the plane takes off for Dallas, and you can check it out there commercial free. And worked on that. Answered some fan questions today on Dear Drew. There's an article up, with about 4 or 5 fan questions. So you can check that up on HoustonTexans.com, along with some other things. And I'll have my 5 things to watch in about 16, 17 hours. I promise my editors. And, all sorts of stuff there on the website.
Well, speaking of websites and good stuff to read, VT, tell us where we can find your stuff at.
You can find my stuff at Texans Fan Battle. Go to the website there. You can also find me on Twitter at Brown Chubby Bear. You can find me on Reddit at Chubby Brown Bear.
I see what you did there. Crenshaw, what about you? Where we can find your stuff?
You can find me at Fifth Ward, Crenshaw, everywhere.
And you can find me at A1 Day One Texans. And, of course, you can find the podcast, Texans Fan Battle. Like B said, make sure you check out the website. He has some amazing blogs, some great articles. And, guys, make sure you check out the Instagram. We got some games going on. Guess Who Friday. Drew, for those people who don't listen and check out, give me one player, any player from 2002 to now that you want them to guess. I put the college and I put the teams that they played on.
I could guess this one for Drew. His favorite player.
Yeah,
Sean Cody.
Yeah,
Sean Cody.
there you go. And I have many favorites, but he's at the tippy top. Yeah, it's if you know him, you know why. So,
I forget what the name was.
on the nose with Sean Cody.
On the nose, yes. With him and Connor Barwin. It was great. It was great.
Yeah, it was funny about a week ago. Nick Scurfield, who he was the driving force behind that show with Sean Cody, but he texted Cody and me a video and said, "Oh, this brings up memories of On the Nose." And the moment he said that, it was related to the Eagles. And the moment he said that, I had my mental arms crossed. I was like, this is going to suck and I'm going to hate this. And I refuse to like this. And then I watched it. I was like, it's kind of good. And then Connor Barwin shows up sort of like in a little cameo like he used to on the Nose. And I was like, all right, that's really good. And then I basically relayed what I just told you guys. And Scurf said that Connor Barwin was the guy that organized that, thought of that. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. That was cool. So, yeah.
All right, Sean Cody. Well, guys, make sure you check that out. Until then, guys, have a great night, a great rest of the weekend, and hopefully we don't have to hear "We Them Boys" at all this whole next week. So.
Hey, and before we go, thank you very much for having me on. I really do appreciate it, and this is an honor to be here. And you guys, it was cool talking with you. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too.
We did, Drew, and thanks for the kind words. We definitely have to have you back on, maybe in the off season.
I'd like that. Let's do it.
All right, guys. Well, till then, we'll see you next week. Have a good night.